Hi everyone, it's Paola. Welcome back to my channel, Art and Graphic Design. You guys know what I do here. So if you are not subscribed and you like these type of design with me type of videos, please subscribe. Today is no different. It is another design video because I decided to do a book cover design, and I am currently reading Pride and Prejudice for the first time. I have never been a big reader, but I'm getting into it and I actually am really enjoying it. So I'm reading Pride and Prejudice, a classic, and I wanted to create a mock-up book cover for it. So that is what we're gonna do. So let's just get into it and get into like what to actually do to set up a book cover, and things like layout and things like type and things like image and just so many different things. So the first thing we need to do to get started is setting up our document. So what I'm doing for the book cover is I'm making it an A4 book size, and then I'm also going to be doing like a whole sleeve layout. So that's kind of where I'm starting, and then I'm taking the front cover part of the whole sleeve and making that the cover, and then we'll have two designs at the end. So what do I mean by that? What I first did was measure out what an A4 size is and then double that, and then I went on like a calculator thing on the internet that I actually found that had how to calculate the spine based off like the number of pages of a book. So I did what one of the Pride and Prejudice editions said. It says it has 368 pages and the size was relatively similar, so that's what I put in, and then it gave me a size for the book. So added up one side, like front side of the cover, back side of the cover, and then a spine, and then that's what I created the document size to be. So on InDesign, I set up that document like so, and I always forget, like InDesign involves a lot of math. Like you have to be calculating, you have to be measuring, and like, yeah, it shows you where like the center point is, but if you're creating like a whole document, then you have to kind of find your own middles and like layout areas, like where your actual spine was. Even though you calculated it, now you have to find it on the page. So there's just lots of little things that you have to figure out with this, but I love it so much. So I'm just going to be like dragging my guide points into those little places, like I said, and making the document what it needs to be. Now, my next step in the design process of this book, I'm going to be using some images to create and layer in. So let's like actually create it kind of like in an image-based way. I think this is very interesting. I don't think that every cover of a book needs to be illustrative. I realized book design is really hard through this process, but yeah, it definitely doesn't need to always be illustrative. Like you can use imagery and type and just so many different strong elements of design to create something really cool that you want to hold in your hands and actually pick up and read. So I went on the Met Open Access. So the Metropolitan Museum of Art, if you don't know, has an open access page where you can go and look at like public domain artwork and download it. So that'll be linked below. No affiliate or anything. I literally just go on it all the time now. So I was thinking about, for Pride and Prejudice, what would kind of evoke the feelings that come from the book, or that you like want to tell in a story, almost like a story cover needs a story basically. So I wanted to do a countryside kind of feel. So I actually found this that's North American, but it is from the 1800s, so that fits the time period as much as it can be, and I just figured it really has that feeling from Pride and Prejudice. So then the second thing I did was I decided I wanted to layer something on top of that. So I went over to Envato Elements, which is something I have a subscription with and I have an affiliate link for. I always have it in the description of my videos, but go check it out if you're like looking for templates or images or lots of different things, honestly. So I went on there to look for like paper texture, and I actually found some good images. So I went in there and I got a like paper ripped picture. And the images I downloaded were like free to use copyright wise, so that really helps with this type of project. You don't have to worry about just downloading stuff off the internet and what's it gonna be and whatever. So that's where I sourced my images from. So once I got the paper texture picture, I went into Photoshop to remove that background part of it. So I didn't want that pink color or orange color in there. So I went in there and I deleted it just by highlighting with the selection tool and then copying and cutting. So a big part of design is setting up documents, sourcing photos and fonts and all those different things. So this is where we get into like the main part of the layout design. So it was a lot of trial and error. I used a frame tool on InDesign to put in my images, and I started with the layout, just kind of deciding typefaces. There were so many different options, I felt like, just because I couldn't really decide if I wanted to go traditional and almost classical, or if I wanted to go modern and kind of opposite of, say, what the book is. Since it's such an old classic, I felt like maybe a modern typeface could mix it up. So it was kind of interesting, the process, like going through a million different ones and going through if I wanted to have the word and or an ampersand, and could that be a unique ampersand, and if it went too classical and like italic or cursive, it could look like it's going to be a fantasy novel. And honestly, there are so many different things with type that make or break your design, but this is like my favorite thing. So I feel like if you went really like cursive-y or dramatic, it could look like you're about to read a fantasy novel, which is not what the book is about. It's a classic novel about love, like, and people. So I just feel like that is definitely not the direction you need to go in. Modern, it could totally work with that type of book. I feel like it could kind of juxtapose like what the theme is. So I was kind of playing around for a while, to be honest. But once we got there, I ended up downloading a font from Behance, which I will link below. And yeah, it was free to download, and it worked perfectly. Like, it was exactly what I was thinking of. So I think I went a little bit more traditional, but kind of with that kind of trendy style type that is going around right now. So yeah, definitely kind of found a happy medium. And so I started with that, and I started just like putting it together from there. So it really came together from there. I started layering, so a lot of that was like figuring out if I wanted that paper texture to go over the type, and I decided I did. And a lot of this is just like like moving pieces around. Like, InDesign is so good for that. Like, you can fill things with placeholder text, and you can like layer everything in different like patterns and just like see how it goes. Yeah, I feel like I'm like an ad for InDesign, but like I just really like it. So layering that title and putting in the ampersand instead of the word and really worked. And so I have it a little bit behind the paper, but I have the paper at like a 96% opacity so that you can kind of see it behind it. And then I ended up reflecting the Pride and Prejudice title in the water upside down on the faintest opacity. So I thought that looked really cool. And then of course you have to start thinking about what actually goes on a book, right? So you have to think about the author's name, how prominent you want it on the page. Then you have to think about color and how that offsets it. And I really liked this yellow with it. So that was great. I felt like it just kind of flowed from here. For the back, I just copied in the same like synopsis, I guess, that it has online for the book, and it was on the back of my book, so I just copied that and put it in, and that is in a different typeface. So I had just max of 2 typefaces in this project, and I thought they complemented each other really well without like looking too different from one another, so I thought that was cool. So I made sure that all looked like smooth and cohesive. I didn't want it to look too like flowy and jumbled. I wanted it to look pretty static and like square. So that's what I did with the type. And then working on the spine, I just put the title and the author again. This time it would be sideways, right? So adding that into that spine. And at first the spine did look a little weird. Like, I was kind of worried that it would look a little like small or something, but it ended up being pretty nice. So yeah, if you're always worried about that, like, just trust your measurements, because I did, and then it ended up perfect. So yeah, so I ended up doing that, and I added in like a little like publisher, PK Books, me, and then added in the title again on the back of the book. And I just feel like all of that was like the perfect amount of information. Obviously on like a real book you would have like a barcode and all of that, and probably more information about the publisher, but I don't have that, and I didn't really want to like make it all up because I felt like I just wanted to showcase the design. So from there I added 2 little lines for the spine so you could actually like see it and kind of differentiate, and I just really love how it turned out. So from there I just made a cover version, so just half the design, and yeah, just kind of like deleted it and showed it on that same size, and that would just be the front. And then I took it into Photoshop. So instead of using like a book mock-up for this project, which I just didn't feel like it needed, I just wanted to keep it simple. So I kind of made my own mock-up. So if you're interested in that, let me show you how. So in Photoshop, all I had to do was bring in my design, just like bring in the image of my design. I had PNGs at this point, so they had transparent backgrounds. And I just brought in my design to Photoshop to, you know, a square because I was gonna put it on Instagram. And I added a drop shadow, and I just played around with where the shadow is on the book, and it made it look like it is a book. Like, it made it look just a little more elevated, and it's such a simple way to add depth to your designs, especially if you're doing like a little like phone shape and you do a drop shadow, it actually looks like a phone. If you do it with a book, it does look like a book. Those are just simple ways to kind of create your own mock-ups, you know what I mean? So once I did that, it was complete, and guys, I'm so excited about this one. I just love how it turned out, and I was so excited to challenge myself with book design. Like, I didn't think I could do it. I've seen people who are amazing book designers, like I follow some and I know some, and I'm so jealous of how they work because I'm like, how do you even create that? Like, I actually don't even get it when I look at their covers. But this like kind of proved to myself that I could do it. So if you're interested in doing this too, I totally encourage it. It was such a fun project, and yeah, it's just like a fun thing to get into. So let me know if you want me to do even more book covers. Maybe you guys could give me suggestions of books and stuff. But anyway, I am obsessed with the photos that I created for it, and they are up on my Instagram now, so go check them out, give them some love. That would be really nice. Okay, so that was my video today. I hope you enjoyed it. I am honestly really proud of this project, so I hope you enjoyed. And you know, write down in the comments below what type of book that you want to redesign the cover of. It's kind of like a fun project, and I think everyone should participate in this. And yeah, if you like this video, give it a like and subscribe if you're not subscribed, like I said. And yeah, okay, I'll see you in the next one. There's so much excitement to come on this channel. Stay tuned. Okay, bye. My hair is like, that doesn't look good. Okay, we'll keep it out. We'll keep it out.